Respected Kim Jong-un, first Secretary of the Workers' Party of Korea, first Chairman of the National Defense Commission of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, and Supreme Commander of the Korean People's Army, visited the Gyeongsan Kindergarten. He was accompanied by senior officials of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea. Children offered fragrant bouquets to him, saying, "Respected General Kim Jong-un, thank you very much." Kindly caressing the children on the cheeks, he asked them how old they are, and hugging them in his arms, entered the playground. "The playground covered with rubber sheet is good," he said, and with a bright smile looked at the children doing near fight and enjoying themselves at amusement facilities installed on the lawn, such as swinging boat, plane slide, and rocket plane. In the room dedicated to the history of the kindergarten, he praised that the Gyeongsan Kindergarten has produced many talented little musicians and named the artists who learned talents in the kindergarten. In the general playroom on the second floor, Kim Jong-un pleasantly looked at the children, engrossed in various games, and expressed satisfaction that the general playroom has been furnished well. See Director Ri Kang-suk, he said he had come to the kindergarten again because the intellectual development of the preschool children is very important, and because he wanted to praise her who is doing her job well. He most highly praised the director of the kindergarten, saying a wide publicity should be given to her, and her working manner should be generalized. He said when he comes to the Gyeongsan Kindergarten, he feels like a child, and repeatedly praised that the kindergarten has been well furnished. Seeing many 5-pointed stars attached to the display board titled, "Who is nice?" he said it is a way of educating in line with the children's desire to do more nice work. He dropped in at the room for learning after the 3 commanders of Mount Baekdu and learned about its management, and at the place for preserving gifts asked about the use of various children's books. He also saw cute children of high class E writing compositions under the title "Pride of My Mother," and watched pretty children dancing pleasantly in the dance room. In the playroom, he stood before the basketball stand and watched for a long while children shooting balls, and seeing children practicing weightlifting, said with a hearty laugh that they looked like men of great strength. After seeing children's boxing and sliding, he had a photograph taken with the children. Kim Jong-un said as he looked around the kindergarten, he could feel the sincerity of the kindergarten teachers devoted to the children, and he could be relieved to see it. At the piano room, he was pleased, seeing the children skillfully playing the piano are good at harmonics. He kindly took hand of Kim Hyang-suk, chief of the piano section, who has trained many talented little musicians, and expressed trust, saying he is expecting her success in the future too. He dropped in at the wading pool underground and felt the temperature of the water. At the hall, he appreciated the performance given by children and blessed them with a happy future. That day, Kim Jong-un sent kind gifts to the Gyeongsan Kindergarten. Kim Jong-un had a photograph session with the officials and teachers of the kindergarten, expressing the belief that they would carry out their duty excellently. Respected Kim Jong-un received messages of greetings and congratulatory letters from personages of different countries on the occasion of the 12th anniversary of the historic June 15th Inter-Korean Joint Declaration. The messages and letters came from the General Chairman and Secretary General of the National Leading Council of the Diversity Party of Indonesia, the Chairman and the First Secretary of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Norway, the Chairman of the Communist Party of Denmark, the General Secretary of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Czechoslovakia, and the General Secretary and International Secretary of the Central Committee of the French Revolutionary Communist League. The messages and letters also came from the Secretary of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Slovakia, the Chairman of the Afro-Asian People's Solidarity Organization, the Secretary General of the International Liaison Committee for Reunification and Peace of Korea, and other high-ranking personages of political, social, and economic circles of Russia, the Philippines, Norway, Denmark, Germany, Switzerland, Sweden, the Czech Republic, France, Finland, the United Kingdom, Austria, Iceland, Brazil, Colombia, and Peru, and the representatives of organizations for supporting Korean reunification and for friendship with Korea. They stress that the great Kim Jong-il provided the recording remarkable exploits in the history of the Korean nation. The messages of greetings and congratulatory letters expressed the conviction that the Korean people firmly rallied around the respected Kim Jong-un will vigorously struggle to accelerate national independence reunification under the banner of the North-South Joint Declaration. The Mexican Committee for the Study of Kim Il-sungism carried a detailed gist of the great leader President Kim Il-sung's famous work, "Let us achieve the great unity of our nation," in its bulletin number 72, and the Mexican Institute of the Church Idea, a detailed gist of his famous work, "Let us uphold independence," in its bulletin number 92. Memorial meetings, seminars on the exploits of President Kim Il-sung, book and photo exhibitions, film shows, and other colorful functions were recently held in Russia, Poland, Ukraine, India, Ethiopia, Uganda, Cambodia, South Africa, Indonesia, Guinea, Malaysia, Germany, Kyrgyzstan, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and the Secretariat of the Pan-African Movement on the occasion of the 18th anniversary of the demise of the great leader President Kim Il-sung. Displayed at the venues of the functions were famous works of the great leaders President Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, books and photos introducing their immortal exploits. Screened at the film shows were DPRK documentaries including Answer of Korea and Fireworks of a Thriving Nation. Present at the events were personages of different circles and many people of those countries. Speakers there said President Kim Il-sung was the most outstanding leader and peerless great man in the 20th century. The noble image of the president, who had devoted his all to the people, is preciously kept in the hearts of the Korean people and the progress of humankind, they stressed. Messages to respected Kim Jong-un were adopted at the functions held in Germany, Poland, and Pakistan. Newspapers of different countries recently featured the 18th anniversary of the demise of the great leader President Kim Il-sung. The Cambodian newspaper People, the Indian newspaper Passion India, the Nepalese newspaper Arupan, and the Uruguayan newspaper La Ventud printed his beaming portraits and photos, and ran articles praising his brilliant life devoted to the fatherland and people, under different titles including Kim Il-sung, the brilliant name, and on the occasion of the 18th anniversary of the demise of President Kim Il-sung. The General Kim Jong-il Amicable Institute of Peru issued a statement on the 5th, on the occasion of the 18th anniversary of the demise of the great leader President Kim Il-sung. The statement said, President Kim Il-sung is a great brilliant commander who set out on the road of the struggle for national liberation in his early years, and performed the immortal exploits in the history. Though he passed away, his immortal exploits are deeply kept in the hearts of the world progressive humankind as well as the Korean people. Kim Yong-nam, President of the Presidium of the Supreme People's Assembly of the DPRK, sent a message of greetings on Saturday to the 19th Conference of Heads of State and Government of the African Union. The message said the African Union is powerfully promoting the process of continental integration according to the common desire and will of the regional people to fight the worldwide challenges with concerted efforts, and its activities are forcefully encouraging the efforts of the African people for peace, stability, and prosperity of the continent. The message reassured the summit of the invariable support and firm solidarity of the Korean people to the just cause of the African people to build an independent and prospering Africa, and wishes that the summit would reap an excellent fruit according to the common interests and desire of the member nations. Korean jewel pictures were highly estimated at the Fine Art Festival of the 20th International Art Festival Master Class, held in St. Petersburg of Russia. The festival was held between June the 3rd and July the 10th with the participation of talented artists of many countries, including the DPRK, Russia, France, Italy, Germany, Poland, and the United States. Appreciating the jewel pictures wrote Mount Pector and Tiger, created by fine artists of the Mansudae Art Studio, the members of the organizing committee of the festival and fine artists admired that the Korean jewel pictures are really excellent works and praised the high level of portrayal. At the awarding ceremony, the festival prize was awarded to Kim Pong-hwa, head of the Korean jewel picture production of the Mansudae Art Studio, who had created the works. The General Association of Koreans in the United States issued an appeal on the 10th, calling for resignation of trader Lee Myung-bak of South Korea, persisting in pro-US and pro-Japanese treacheries. That day, the South Korean People for Peace and Unification held the 154th Action for Independence, Unification and Peace in Seoul, and expressed the will to wage a practical struggle to prevent conclusion of military agreements with Japan. The Peace and Disarmament Center of the South Korean Solidarity for Democratic Society demanded the popular authorities open to public the facts on the secret promotion of the conclusion of military agreements with Japan. The organization tendered requests for the opening of the information consent to the Ministry of National Defense, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade, and the Blue House, respectively, on the 5th. The National Measure Council for Checking the Jeju Naval Base Project, consisting of 125 civic and public organizations and youth and students organizations of South Korea, issued a statement on the 6th and denounced the unfair judgment of the popular Supreme Court, which turned down the suit filed by the Gangjeong villagers against the base project. On the 10th, South Korean Internet broadcast Voice of People denounced the puppets insisting in fascist crackdown to remain in power. The Democratic Congo Korea Friendship and Solidarity Organization recently issued a statement in support of the just struggle of the Korean people to reunify the country by the Korean nation itself, on the occasion of the 40th anniversary of the historic July 4th joint statement of the North and the South of Korea and June the 25th to July 27th month of anti-US joint struggle. And that's the end of the news read by Kim Hyun-ok. This is Voice of Korea. We now present a chorus of orchestral music. We will go on and on along the road of loyalty. female trio in Pyeongchang. Bright is a feature.
Dear listeners, now is the time for broadcasting the reminiscences of the great leader President Kim Il-sung with a century. Today we bring you the 6th installment of Section 1 in anticipation of the Day of Liberation of Chapter 24. Nationwide resistance against the Japanese. Parachuting was more difficult than swimming. In this training course, the women soldiers were more courageous than the men. There were some cowards among the men, but none among the women. The first stage was a mock drill in which the trainees would jump from a springboard into a pile of sawdust. The next stage was getting used to turning round on a revolving wheel. Women soldiers felt sick during this drill, but they never gave up. Parachute practice took place on the vast plain around the Vorslov, where there was a landing strip. The trainees first had to learn how to fold their parachutes. Then they would ascend a tower about 50 meters high and descend by parachute. This trained them to turn their bodies once against the wind. Only then were they allowed to parachute from an aircraft. 10 to 20 soldiers would parachute first from an altitude of 1,000 meters and later from 600 meters. The order to drop used to be given at the height of 800 meters. The landing strip was surrounded by wide sugar beet fields. When we landed, women working in the fields would run towards us, helping us draw up the shoots and peeling sugar beets for us. They gave souvenir badges to those who recorded high scores in these drills. Che Yongjin from our contingent took the badge for the highest score. I also took part in parachuting on several occasions. The drill produced a variety of episodes. Some lost their caps, some their boots, some got sprains, some got caught in trees, and so on. Soldiers who weighed more than 80 kilograms or less than 40 kilograms were not allowed to participate in parachuting for reason of safety. An overweight person might fall too rapidly and get injured, and an underweight person might be blown far off course. Chen Sun-hee was so light that she was once blown higher than the plane. Kim Jung-dong also used to fly astray. He was a very small man. I once saw him hung up in a tree. When I helped him down, I found that he was as light as a child. During the Fatherland Liberation War, Kim Jung-dong performed great exploits in the battles to liberate Seoul and Daejeon, and was awarded the title of Hero of the Republic. Parachuting was combined with airborne operations, mostly from 1944. The training in airborne operations involved actions to destroy the resisting enemy while descending by parachute, rapid deployment after landing, the striking of the enemy from behind, and so on. During parachute training, we lost some weight and we often felt hungry. Training was intensive, and on top of that, our food rations were reduced in order to support the front line after the outbreak of the Soviet-German War. Under these circumstances, we cultivated idle land to obtain additional food. We planted potatoes, soybeans, and vegetables. We benefited a lot from the sideline farm. We also gathered edible herbs to supplement our diet. The area surrounding the training base was green with bracken, Atractylodes japonica, Aurelia shoots, and other edible herbs. When we boiled soup with edible herbs, the Soviet doctors in the dispensary warned us against eating them, as they might have been poisonous. However, after having a taste of the soup, they said it was delicious. When we told them that edible herbs were medicinal stuff, they began to ask for them. Our comrades once quarreled with the Jewish Russian major in the Soviet army, the man in charge of the supply work of the unit in the fields while planting potatoes. The major was angry with our comrades who were planting cut-out eyes of potatoes, arguing that we would make a mess of potato farming. Our comrades retorted, saying that the yield in autumn would prove who was right. That year, we had a rich harvest of the crop. The potatoes planted whole yielded something like pebbles, whereas the cut-out eyes planted by our comrades produced fist-sized potatoes. Only then did the major recognize our expertise in farming. Although that spring our contingent had boiled and eaten all the potatoes from which eyes had been cut out, we harvested twice as many potatoes as the others did. Our comrades organized a hunting team to catch wild animals, and on holidays went fishing in the Amur. The Amur teemed with fish, and we caught one which weighed scores of kilograms. In the spawning season, shoals of salmon came up the river. We caught them by casting nets and pickled them. We would take out their eggs and pickle them too. We once caught so many wild animals and fish that we sent some to the Western Front. It was the 6th installment of Section 1 in anticipation of the day operation of Chapter 24, Nationwide Resistance Against the Japanese. Communism could lead the President Kim Il-sung with a century. This is his career.
Please enjoy your mixed chorus. Generalissimo Kim Il-sung is with us. When opening your mail, chorus, My Mother, an immortal masterpiece written by the great leader Kim Jong-il. Now bring your female solo for trombone leader.
of the internet homepage Voice of Korea. We are pleased to receive many letters from you almost every day. In your letters, we see the listeners' enthusiasm for listening and the efforts to inform us of the reception of our programs. Some time ago, Grant Skinner in Essex, England, sent us a reception report along with a letter in which he said, Voice of Korea broadcasts many programs, was listening and highly appreciated the diligence of members of Voice of Korea. Swedish listener Katarina Ekeljohe wrote, "Dear friends, the reception was good. I was delighted with the very beautiful music and songs. Your programs are always interesting and very important for me. The Pyongyang Times is also very much appreciated. Thank you for the nice QSL card." Thank you very much again. I wish you and your country a very good and successful time. Chen Tabalos in Changchun, China, sent us an exciting letter which reads in part. Thank you for your broadcast. They increased my knowledge about Kim Jong-un and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Though he passed away, Kim Jong-un was a great warrior in the battle to defeat the forces of imperialism threatening world peace and stability. As a matter of fact, for your upcoming essay contest, I'm preparing an essay about the great leader Kim Jong-un and hope my wretched attempt to highlight his works and praise his achievements inspires others to remember and choose him as an example to follow. If my research and report is correct, please send me a QSL card. In addition, could your station please send me a station pennant and any material about your wonderful country? In particular, I would like a pennant of your station to hang on my wall so as to demonstrate my solidarity with the Korean people. They were really exciting letters. Your enthusiasm for listening, impressions on our broadcasts and different news added fuel to our passion for broadcasting and increased the Korean people's pride here. We sincerely thank you for your consideration of our efforts and your letters of encouragement. We wish all of you health and happy days. So far, we introduced some letters from foreigners. This is Voice of Korea. Dear listeners, with this we conclude the English language service of Voice of Korea from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Voice of Korea presents its English language service for Southeast Asia between 5 and 6 hours UTC on 13,650 kHz and 15,100 kHz, and between 10 and 11 hours UTC on 11,735 kHz and 13,650 kHz. For Middle East and North Africa between 16 and 17 hours UTC on 9,990 kHz and 11,545 kHz, and between 19 and 20 hours UTC on 9,975 kHz and 11,535 kHz. For Southern Africa between 19 and 20 hours UTC on 7,210 kHz and 11,910 kHz. And for Central and South America between 4 and 5 hours UTC on 11,735 kHz, 13,760 kHz and 15,180 kHz. And between 10 and 11 hours UTC on 11,710 kHz and 15,180 kHz. Goodbye, this is Pyongyang.